Well, another week, another liquidation, it seems. But in all seriousness, a lot of places are blowing this out of proportion, and the reality of the situation, much like with BBS that we talked about before, and Recaro as well, this is one of those situations where it is serious and it isn't as serious as you could easily think it would be at the same time. Because on the one hand, yes, Hoonigan has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They are $1.75 billion with a B dollars in debt. And this actually, and this is the crucial thing, applies to a lot more than just Hoonigan. I find it interesting that people are tending to focus on the Hoonigan aspect, but the reality is this actually affects a lot more than just them. This affects some brands which you would never typically associate with them, and some of those we're going to get into in a second. Now, for this particular news piece, I want to shout out the Autopian, because that's where I'm getting the rundown that I'm talking about here, so if you want the full article and read through it in your own time, you can click the link down below. Basically, what you need to know is they were acquired by a different company called Wheel Pros back in 2021. Hoonigan, that is. And as mentioned, they have now filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and that involves a lot more than just Hoonigan. And these are just a few of the ones. Again, you can find the longer list on that website, but it includes American Racing, Asanti, Black Rhino, Dub, Foose, Motegi Racing, ProComp, Rotiform, TSW, Logic Air Suspension Solutions, and Rubicon, as well as many, many more. So lots of famous names in there, especially stuff like Foose and Dub and American Racing. Many of us will know of these from a wide variety of racing games, if not in real life for that matter. Some of us may even have those rims or various other things on our vehicles, beyond just cars. So what does this actually mean, and what are they doing about it? Well, as mentioned, they have filed for that bankruptcy, that Chapter 11 restructuring, as they call it, and a court in Delaware is going to be ultimately making the decision. In terms of the time frame, we're looking at early November to have a result. They've got a 60-day period to come up with an answer as to whether or not they want to go with this proposed restructuring. If they don't agree to it, that will mean liquidation for the company, but historically speaking, it's generally something that the court does go for, so chances are it will probably end up that way. And in reality, this is not going to stop production on any of those brands overseas or in the States for the moment, so things will, for the most part, continue as normal for now. And no matter what the outcome is there in terms of the court decision, they already have plans to change up the structure of what they own, who owns what, the stakes that shareholders have, etc. Because in addition to having this as a plan to combat that massive debt which they have, this would incidentally allow them to kind of get out of about 1.2 billion of said debt, while simultaneously bringing in, according to them, according to Wheel Pros that is, about $570 million of new capital, which would quite nicely round off to up around that 1.75 billion region, so best case scenario for them really. So the long and the short of it is they will still be around, the form might not be quite the same, the ownership, the control, etc. might not be quite the same, and they may not end up having all of these companies after the fact. As I said, their plan is to restructure that and sell off some of those and break off, etc. anyway, so that's going to happen no matter what. But in terms of your fandom for these particular companies, buying products from them, well, they'll still be around, much like with BBS, Recaro, and others which this has happened to before as well. It's one of those things where it's very easy to blow it out of proportion. Yes, it is serious, but also it's one of those things where the little guy like you and me would never have this kind of opportunity available to us, but the bigger the company, you know, you fail upwards almost, it seems, in a lot of scenarios, or at the very least, you don't hit and you don't fall anywhere near as hard as you would think a company that owes nearly $2 billion could or would. That's the quick rundown for those who are maybe unfamiliar with this situation. Maybe you didn't know exactly what the situation was, or I would wager probably in most cases people didn't realise this was a lot more than just Hoonigan that was involved. So hopefully that keeps you in the loop on the situation if you were interested in it, and of course stick around for more automotive news here on the channel. But for now, thanks for watching.